And for that, like I said, guys, in the last session, they have given us commands to do all these operations. So now I'll just go to that place, AWS CLI. So either you can get into this CLI reference and you can start searching, or simply it's pretty simple to go and use Google also. So you can simply say like what you wanted to create some entity, like let's say you want to create a user. Create user with CLI. You just say that, they'll give you the appropriate documentation. So if you want to add a user, you just go to this specific thing. And there you go. They said like this will create a new IAM user for your AWS account. And you see, that's the syntax. Right? Exactly. Now let's imagine you want to create an S3 bucket. We already saw in the last part. Maybe you want to create a volume. Right? We already know this point, so that volumes will be in the same availability zones as in instances. And you can see you can create the volumes. Now exactly same way, we want to repeat the things that we did in our VPC part, which is creating a VPC. So now what? I'll just go and check one by one options. You see, we got an option called as create VPC. Now we will check one by one slowly. You see, we can go ahead and start creating a VPC with the help of CIDR block. Right? So it's giving IPv6 also, but we are not really interested in IPv6. We'll check how we can do it directly from a IPv4 CIDR block. So now what, in order to create what do you say, VPC, right? And I already said VPC is connected to EC2. So we need to have the permissions appropriately. In the last session, if you remember from the IAM point of view and VPC point of view, also from VPC. So in my local machine, we integrated this thing, right? We said AWS S3 LS. Then it will show us those all buckets which are there in our account. Okay, access. Why? Because we took the permissions away. But no problem. What we will do is we will grant the appropriate permissions to the user, which we created in the last session. Now, how do I know if I come into this machine that I have a specific access key or secret key? So all you can do is you can use the following command. Right? In this, you will have all your information like access key and secret key. Getting the point, right? So now in the last session, this is what the access key we used. So let's go ahead and look into the IAM. We created the user called as CLI. This is security credentials. And you see, it's almost similar, right? Okay. Now the thing is, we don't have the proper permission. So that's the reason why we are not able to perform. Why? Because we have given only Java app policy, which will only give access to specific permission. But I'm not really interested in this thing. Okay, if it's there or not a good deal. I'll just detach it. I'll give EC2 permissions. Reason because we want to create all the VPC and EC2 related components. I'm granting EC2 full access. because I want to create a VPC and launch one instance inside it. Okay, now we can see Amazon EC2 full access has been granted. Now you see, as we are in this North California region, and currently if you see your VPCs also, we have only one VPC as of now. Now we want to start creating our own custom VPC. We already saw we can use the following command: AWS EC2 create VPC, and you can provide the CIDR block. So now this should go ahead and start creating a VPC with the following address range. Let's see. You see, it says your request has been successfully given, and it says it has created a VPC, and it is also showing us the VPC ID, meaning it's successful. Now let's go ahead and see that. Isn't it what we created right now? That's the same ID we are seeing, 00946. Actually, it went away, but we saw it earlier, that 00946. That's the same thing that we got there. Right now, once this VPC has been created, I'll keep 2 sessions guys so that we can parallelly work out. Okay. Now once the VPC is created, but this does not have any name, you see, it is just not having any name. So now you can start creating the tags also. So for any specific resource you want, you can create tags. Let's say AWS CLI create tags. You can start creating the tags. How to create the tags? They have given some example. All you need to do is say create tags, and you need to give your resource name. It can be any resource, AMI, VPC, subnet, gateway, anything. We got that ID, then you give your tags. Now I know create tags for which resource? For VPC resource, and VPC resource has an ID called so for this we want to give the tags with this. Now I'll give my own tags. Key equal to name, value equal to something like let's say any specific thing. Let's say something like TCS. Now it says it was executed. Now if I go and check, earlier we didn't have any tags. Now let's refresh. There you go. You got the tag called TCS. Now similarly, we can go ahead and create all these particular things, right? Okay. Now let's go ahead and start. What else do we need apart from this? Can you share some? You can use this particular page, Anand. Like I said you in the last session, right? You can go ahead and use this CLI reference. You'll get all the commands over there. Right? Let me see if I have any things that are personal, then I'll share that in your document itself. Okay. Okay. Now, once this particular VPC is created, now we want to go ahead and start creating some specific components, like we need internet gateway. Now, same thing. Now you see guys, it's just like kind of you need to search and start working with it. So let's say AWS CLI create internet gateway. What he's saying, if you want to create, all you need to do is say AWS EC2 create internet gateway. Okay, fine, perfect. I'll go ahead. Right. Now you can see this is the internet gateway that has been given to us. Now if I go ahead and verify my internet gateway, you see that's the exact same thing that we got. 09CF 09CF. Now this internet gateway is created, but it is not attached, and also nor it has any name. So we will first create the name, then we will go through the attachment process. Same thing here. I'll use the same technique for these tags. EC2 create tags hyphen resources. What is the resource we got? That's the internet gateway ID. Then we want to pass some tags. Name, sorry, key equal to name. And we want to pass some value. That is TCS IGW. Right now, tag was created for us. Right. And now we need to make sure this is also attached. Same thing as now what I'm going to do is once again, I'll say attach internet gateway. You see, you got again commands for them. So like this, for every operation you want to do, there are commands. You need to just check them and start using accordingly. You can see it says EC2 attach internet gateway ID. So we already have internet gateway ID with us. Our internet gateway ID is what? That's our internet gateway ID, and where it needs to be attached to a VPC, correct? So it is asking us VPC ID. I'm going to take this VPC ID, and we already know what is a VPC ID, right? That's our VPC ID. Yes, now it got attached. There you go. Now you can see our internet gateway was attached to the proper VPC, right? Okay. Once internet gateway is attached, then you might start creating next component like what? We need subnets. Maybe I'll create a couple of subnets, right? Or for timing, we'll go with one specific subnet. Your choice is exactly same thing. Or you can create a couple of subnets, couple of route tables, like what we did, one public, one private. And now private creation is optional. This why? Because you already know if we don't create any route table, by default a default route table comes which does not have internet gateway, so that can act like a private. So if I create one private subnet, it will be automatically acquired. Public, we will do like our regular approach. Let's see now. Right now, once this gateway is created, now let's create subnets. You see, you're saying create subnet, VPC ID, and your CIDR block. So we'll create two. What I'll do is VPC create subnet, VPC ID we need to pass, That's the VPC ID. And then you need to give the size for the subnet. And we will call this one with the following. Yes, a subnet has been created. And for this, we'll also go and attach the tags. Let's imagine this one, we will call it as a public subnet. Subnet ID is public subnet. Same way, we'll create the private subnet also. All I'm going to do is just change the CIDR block address. I'll take this subnet ID and call it as private subnet. Right. And one more thing, if it is a public subnet, then we need to have IP address enabled, right? So same thing we will do for this one. AWS create, not create, subnet public IP. Okay. You see there is an option called as modify subnet. So after creating subnet, we need to enable this. Okay. EC2 modify the subnet ID and you'll say map the public IP or launch. That is like clicking that button. Now I'll do the same thing. All I need is subnet ID, but I need the public subnet ID, right? That's the public subnet ID. Map public IP on launch. Now let's see if it is successful really. Gateway is there. Now let's head back to subnets and we should see a couple of subnets with our name. Yes, public subnet, private subnet, and public subnet should have auto assign IP enabled. There you go. It got enabled as expected. Now we got the public, we got private. Then next thing we need route tables. Same thing. Now I'm going to say create the route table. You see, all you need to say is create route table and provide the VPC ID. Fine. That's the VPC ID. And this one we will consider as public. The one which came default will consider it as private. Right? Yes. This, what is it? Route table is created and we got the ID, right? So this I'm going to call it as public route table. TCS public route table. That's the route table ID. Right. Now we should be able to see about the public route table. And we don't have routes, so I need to add the internet routes. And also we need to add the subnet association, right? So once this part is done, then public part is done. Others explicitly they become private in nature. So now again, I'll just go ahead, AWS CLI, create. You see, here itself they have given create route table, and under that route. Create route. In the route table, what you are looking for, CIDR block is 0.0.0/0. Then you need to give your gateway ID, which is internet gateway, right? So that's what you did. I'm just going to do the same thing. For which one? Public route table, right? Create route table. That is the public route table. In this CIDR block, we need to say 0.0.0/0. Then we need to give the gateway ID. And our gateway ID is that is our internet gateway ID. Yes, it returned true, meaning it got succeeded. Let's just verify. There you go. So we got our internet gateway also in function. Right, that's it, right? Now private, I don't need, oh sorry, one more thing we are left is subnet association. Once we associate the subnet, then we are good to go with it. Okay, now let's see how to go with what is the subnet association. Subnet association. You see, there is a command called as associate route table. Yes. So you need to say which route table should control which subnet. Route table ID. Right, that is a route table. Public subnets. That is our public subnet. That's it. Now once we do this, then our subnet should be attached to the proper route table. Yes, it says has been associated. Let's go and verify. TCS public subnet has been associated with public route table. That's it. Yes. Now I don't need to do anything for private. Why? Because main route table will implicitly calls the other subnet, which is private subnet. So it does not have internet gateway, so it will be private. Okay. Once we have this, what else we need? Now everything VPC is ready. Now in this VPC, maybe we want to launch some server. Yes, you can. You can simply again search for the options. You see launch list and what is it? Terminate your instances. Got so many options. You see EC2, a separate page is given, or you can say run instances. You see size. So they have given you all those options. You see, now you can say run instance, provide the AMI ID, size. But this one, what happens is this will take the default VPC. it will think like there is a default VPC. This is always redirected to default VPC. Instead of this one, we want to have our own custom VPC which we used. If we want the instance to be launched there. And also what else we need? A security group is required in order to log in, right? So I'll also create one security group first. Create security group. It will create in that particular VPC, but we don't see any rules. So here you need to create the security groups, then you need to give the ports, like which ports you want to be opened in the security group. So for this, there is one more thing. Authorize security group ingress, meaning what incoming traffic you want to add. Which port, where you want to elevate from. And it will take the security group name that you have used. Getting the point is, so it says group name or what else you can say, group ID also you can say, I guess. You see security group ID is also there. It's up to you how you want it. Now what first we'll create, then we will update. AWS EC2 create security group name. This find my security group, VPC ID. Our VPC ID is this. You see, that's the security group ID we got. Now what I'm going to do is, I'll say authorize security group ingress hyphen security group ID. We already have the ID. Protocol is yes TCP. Port is 22. CIDR block is 0.0/0. So port 22 is also added there. Now what we can do is we can go ahead and now you can start running the instances with this security group in a public subnet. Then we should be able to log in into the server parts. Let's check that now. So currently, you see we don't have any instance as of now. We'll use the same option. AWS EC2 run instances hyphen image ID. So if you already have a custom image, you can give that ID also. But here instance ID will say launch instance. And there itself we can see the AMI ID, right? I'm just taking this AMI ID. That's our image ID. Instance type, yes, we want it to be T2 micro. And key name, meaning like the key pair which you want to use. I think I already have the key pair. Just let's see the name of it. Something. So the key pair name is Ravi, so I'll just use the same name. Right, and now I need to make sure it is launched in the proper subnet and proper security group. So I'll check the subnet, how to pass the subnet. You'll have options, guys. You see, hyphen subnet ID. We want it to be launched in which subnet? Public subnet. That is the public subnet. And also we want to pass some what do you say, security groups. A security group ID, we already saw this. What is the security group ID? This one. Now with this, we should have a fully functional running instance. Let's see. That's it, right? Public IP is already enabled. We have given the key. We have given the size. We have given the security group. So that's all we need in order to launch an instance. If you want to go with storage and all this also, you can see you got options with additional volume. You can give your additional volumes. You can go with anything. You want to get the tags also on the fly. You can get the tags also. It's up to you guys. You see, if you want tags, you can set tags too. You can go with all different options. You want to run with the user data, you can give user data. So you got all the options which you go with your regular way, how you work in your normal approach. Now let's see. You see, it said your instance was launched. You see the instance ID. This is the instance ID 03812. Let's see if it really launched. Just give it some time. Let's see, we got few questions. Shaker, as we DevOps engineer RSS. Actually, none of them will be working here, Shaker. Generally, system administrators will work here. There are no roles for us, Vijay Lakshmi. Like I said, this is just an example to make you understand what is the feature of CLI and how it is integrated with IAM. We already did that in the last session, Santosh, the location or region. When you remember, we did that AWS configure, it asked for us region. That is the reason why it is created in this region. Right? Okay. Let's see now. You see, our instance is launched. It is coming in the TCS VPC. It is coming in the TCS public subnet. It has got the public IP address that we asked for. Checking at the security, it has our my security group we created, and it enabled our port number 22. Now, if everything looks good, then we should be able to log in, right? Let's also verify that. There you go. So now, without touching browser at all, I was able to implement everything. Got the point, right? So this is how you can work the CLI. But like I said, right, there are hundreds and thousands of commands there. Now you need to make sure that no one will remember these commands at any point of time. They'll just go to this particular reference page, and they'll start formulating it. This is one way. This is how basically our AWS CLI works, right? And now you got to know how IAM is actually helping you to get the things done with the security patch. Now, the exact same thing can also be done from something called like code. Now we have seen everything from our commands, right? Now the exact same thing can be done from code. So you can use code to create our VPC, create our subnets, create our gateways, route tables, all this. And also similarly, you can launch the instances inside. That we'll see in the next class, like how we can use entirely code itself to do rather than commands. So you got all the options here. So as an AWS architect, you need to understand what are its features. So yes, you got the ability to get it done from system administration perspective, like commands. And also as a developer, you can use the code to go ahead and create your resources. That's where AWS Cloud Formation called a service is there inside AWS that comes into picture. Right? We got a question. What about availability zones? I already said, Santosh, like based upon the subnet, availability zones will be selected. So I did not, give availability zones while creating subnet. So if you choose, it will go with. That is something that you need to again check from the documentation. When I said create subnet, if you check this, then they might give you the option. We only saw the first thing. We set this one. Now you want zone.